What happens when a Hollywood legend sits down for what should be a simple interview and instead finds himself facing the most disrespectful host on television? In just 35 seconds, Jennifer Hudson would say something so shocking, so completely out of line, that it would destroy her reputation forever and send Sylvester Stallone storming off her set in absolute fury. Picture this. The Jennifer Hudson show set is buzzing with excitement. The cameras are rolling, the audience is packed, and sitting across from Hudson is one of the biggest names in Hollywood history. Sylvester Stallone, the man who gave us Rocky, who created Rambo, who built an empire on pure determination and grit. He's here to promote his latest project, expecting the usual friendly chat that celebrities get on daytime television. But Hudson has other plans. From the very first question, something feels off. Hudson leans back in her chair with this smug look on her face, like she's already won some game that Stallone doesn't even know he's playing. The audience can sense it too. There's this weird tension in the air that nobody can quite put their finger on. Hudson starts with what sounds like a compliment, but there's poison hiding underneath every word. "So, Sylvester," she says, drawing out his name like it's some kind of joke. "You've been making movies for what? Like 50 years now? That's incredible. Most people your age are sitting at home watching TV. But here you are still trying to be an action hero." The audience goes quiet. Did she really just call him old? On live television? Stallone's face changes just slightly. His jaw tightens. But he's a professional. He's dealt with tough interviews before. He keeps his cool. "Well, Jennifer," he responds with a slight smile, "I've been blessed to have a long career doing what I love. Age is just a number when you're passionate about your work." But Hudson isn't done. She's just getting started. Right, she says, nodding like she agrees, but her tone says something completely different. "But don't you think there comes a time when, you should step aside and let the younger actors take over? I mean, watching you try to do action scenes now is kind of like watching your grandfather try to run a marathon. It's sweet, but also kind of sad." The audience gasps. A few people actually gasp out loud. You can hear it through the microphones. This isn't playful banter between a host and guest. This is straight up insulting a legend to his face on national television. Stallone's smile disappears completely now. His eyes narrow. But still, he tries to keep things professional. "I think experience brings something valuable to any role," he says carefully. "The physical demands might be different now, but the passion and dedication are still there." Hudson laughs. Actually laughs. Not a polite chuckle or a friendly giggle. A full-on laugh like he just told the funniest joke she's ever heard. "Passion and dedication," she repeats, still laughing. "Is that what we're calling it now? Because from where I'm sitting it looks more like desperation, like someone who just can't accept that their time is over." The camera zooms in on Stallone's face. You can see every muscle in his jaw working. His hands are gripping the arms of his chair. The man who played Rocky Balboa, who never backed down from a fight in any of his movies, is trying everything he can to stay calm and professional. "I'm not sure what you're trying to accomplish here, Jennifer," he says, his voice getting lower and more serious. "But I came on your show to talk about my new project, not to be insulted." Hudson shrugs like she doesn't care at all. "Oh, I'm just being honest," she says with this fake innocent voice. "Isn't that what good television is about? Honesty? Speaking truth to power? And the truth is, Sylvester, you're yesterday's news trying to pretend you're still relevant." The audience is completely silent now. Even the crew members behind the cameras are looking uncomfortable. This isn't entertainment anymore. This is just cruel. Stallone leans forward in his chair. When he speaks, his voice is deadly calm. "Let me tell you something about truth, Jennifer. The truth is that I've earned my place in this industry through decades of hard work. I've created characters that have inspired millions of people around the world. I've built a career on respect and professionalism, something you clearly know nothing about." Hudson's fake smile gets even wider. "Oh, struck a nerve, did I?" she says, clearly enjoying herself. "Look, I get it. Nobody wants to admit when they're washed up. But come on, Sylvester. Your last few movies were box office disasters. Critics hate them. Audiences are bored with them. Maybe it's time to face reality." The tension in the studio is so thick, you could cut it with a knife. Stallone's face is turning red. Not from embarrassment, but from pure anger. This woman is attacking everything he's built, everything he's worked for, and she's doing it with a smile on her face like it's all just fun and games. "My movies have made billions of dollars worldwide," Stallone says through gritted teeth. "They've entertained people across generations. They've meant something to people. What exactly have you accomplished that gives you the right to sit there and tear down my legacy? Hudson's eyes light up like she's been waiting for this exact moment. What have I accomplished? She asks, sitting up straighter. I'm an Oscar winner, honey. I'm a Grammy winner. I've sold millions of records. And unlike some people, I didn't have to make the same movie 50 times to stay relevant. The crowd actually boos. The studio audience, Hudson's own audience, is booing her. But she doesn't seem to notice or care. She's too busy enjoying herself, too caught up in her own ego to realize she's destroying herself on live television. Stallone stands up slowly from his chair. The camera follows him as he rises to his full height. Even in his 70s, the man is still imposing, still commanding, still every inch the action hero. This interview is over, he says simply. Hudson looks surprised for the first time since the interview started. Oh, come on, Sylvester. Don't be such a baby. Can't you take a little criticism? I thought tough guys were supposed to be, tough. That does it. That's the moment. The insult that breaks the camel's back. The comment that sends everything spiraling completely out of control. Stallone freezes. His entire body goes rigid. The man who has faced down every kind of villain on screen, who has taken punches from Apollo Creed and battled through Vietnam as Rambo, turns around slowly to face Hudson with a look that could melt steel. What did you just call me? He asks, his voice so quiet that the microphones barely pick it up. Hudson, still completely clueless about how badly she's messed up, actually doubles down. I called you a baby, she says with a big grin, because that's what you're acting like. Running away the second someone tells you the truth about yourself. Maybe that's why your career is in the toilet. You can't handle reality. The audience is in complete shock. People are looking at each other like they can't believe what they're hearing. Some people are shaking their heads. Others have their mouths hanging open. A few people near the front are actually getting up to leave because they're so uncomfortable. But Hudson keeps going. She's like a train with no brakes, heading straight for a cliff. You know what your problem is, Sylvester? She continues, leaning back in her chair, like she's having the time of her life. You think just because you made a few good movies 40 years ago, that means you're untouchable. But guess what? This isn't 1976 anymore. Nobody cares about Rocky. Nobody cares about your rags to riches story. People want fresh faces, new talent, actual acting ability. Stallone takes a step toward her. Just one step, but it's enough to make everyone in the studio hold their breath. You want to talk about acting ability, he says? And now his voice is getting louder. Let's talk about acting ability. You won one Oscar for playing a supporting character in a movie that was successful because of Beyoncé and Jamie Foxx. You've done what since then? A couple of forgotten movies and now a talk show where you attack your guests? Hudson's smile starts to slip just a little bit. At least I won my Oscar for actual acting, she shoots back. Not for writing some cheesy boxing movie where I talk funny and get beat up for 2 hours. The entire studio gasps again. She just insulted Rocky. She just called one of the greatest underdog stories ever put to film cheesy, in front of the man who created it. On live television, Stallone's hands clench into fists. Not because he's going to hit anyone, but because he's trying to control the rage that's building inside him. That cheesy boxing movie, he says slowly, was nominated for 10 Academy Awards. It won Best Picture. It beat out All the President's Men, Network, and Taxi Driver. Movies that are considered masterpieces. It inspired millions of people around the world to never give up on their dreams. It's in the Library of Congress as a culturally significant film. He takes another step closer to her desk. And you know what else? I wrote it in 3.5 days. When I was broke and sleeping in bus stations, when nobody believed in me, when people like you would have looked right through me on the street. I created something from nothing, and it changed my life and the lives of countless other people. Hudson rolls her eyes. Actually rolls her eyes while he's talking about creating one of cinema's greatest stories. Oh, please, she says. Spare me the sob story. Half of Hollywood has a rags to riches story. You're not special. And frankly, looking at your recent work, maybe you should have stayed in those bus stations. The audience actually starts booing louder now. Some people are standing up. A woman in the front row shouts, "That's enough." But Hudson ignores her completely. Your last Rocky movie was a joke, she continues. Creed was only good because Michael B. Jordan carried your old butt through it. And don't even get me started on the Expendables. Watching a bunch of 70-year-old men pretend to be action heroes is embarrassing for everyone involved. Stallone is now standing right next to her desk. The camera zooms in on his face, and you can see years of frustration and disappointment boiling over. This isn't just about Hudson anymore. This is about every critic who dismissed him, every person who said he couldn't act, every snob who looked down on his movies because they were popular with regular people instead of film school graduates. You know what's embarrassing, Jennifer? He says, his voice rising with each word. What's embarrassing is sitting there thinking you have the right to judge my life's work when your biggest accomplishment is singing other people's songs and winning awards that other people handed to you. Hudson's face turns red. For the first time in the interview, she looks actually angry instead of smugly amused. Other people handed to me, she practically shouts. I earned every award I won. I worked my way up from nothing, just like you claim you did. The difference is, I know when to be grateful and humble instead of acting like the world owes me something. Humble? Stallone laughs, but it's not a happy laugh. It's bitter and angry. You call this humble? Attacking a guest on your own show? Making fun of someone's age and career on national television? This is your idea of humble? I'm keeping it real, Hudson snaps back. Something you clearly haven't done in decades. You're living in the past, Sylvester. Your glory days are over. Accept it and move on. The tension in the room is unbearable now. The audience is completely silent, except for a few people who are still booing. The camera crew doesn't know where to point their cameras. The producers are probably having heart attacks in the control room, but Hudson isn't finished destroying herself yet. And another thing, she says, standing up from behind her desk to match his height. Don't think you can intimidate me just because you played tough guys in movies. This is real life, not some Hollywood fantasy where you get to be the hero. In real life, you're just another washed-up actor who can't accept that nobody wants to see you anymore. That's when Stallone completely loses it. Washed up? He roars, his voice echoing through the studio. Washed up? I've made more money in the last 5 years than you'll make in your entire career. I have fans all over the world who still line up to see my movies. I've created franchises that will outlive both of us. Hudson gets right in his face. Money doesn't equal talent, she yells back, and nostalgia doesn't equal relevance. You're a relic, Sylvester, a museum piece that should have been put away years ago. The studio erupts. The audience is shouting. Some people are cheering for Stallone. Others are telling Hudson to stop. Security guards are moving toward the stage. The whole thing has turned into complete chaos. And Hudson, completely oblivious to the fact that she's just committed career suicide on live television, decides to deliver the final blow. You know what, Sylvester? Hudson shouts over the noise of the crowd, pointing her finger right at his face. Maybe if you spent less time living in the past and more time learning how to actually act, people might still care about you. But instead, you're just another old man who got lucky once and thinks that makes him special forever. The entire studio goes dead silent. Not quiet, silent, like someone just sucked all the air out of the room. Even the people who are shouting stop talking. The security guards freeze in place. The camera operators don't know where to look. Stallone stares at Hudson for what feels like forever. His face goes through about 10 different emotions in 5 seconds. Shock, disbelief, hurt, and then pure white-hot rage. Get lucky, he says, his voice so low and dangerous that everyone in the front row leans forward to hear him. Get lucky? Do you have any idea what you just said to me? Hudson crosses her arms like she's proud of herself. I said you got lucky, she repeats. Louder this time. One good movie doesn't make you a legend, Sylvester. It makes you a one-hit wonder who's been riding the same wave for 50 years. That's it. That's the moment that breaks everything. Stallone explodes like a volcano that's been building pressure for decades. One good movie, he roars so loud that people in the back row jump in their seats. One good movie. I created Rocky from nothing. I wrote it when I was so broke I had to sell my dog. I turned down $300,000 because they wouldn't let me star in it. I believed in that story when nobody else would. His voice cracks with emotion now, not from weakness, but from passion. From years of people dismissing his work, calling it simple, calling it lucky. I didn't get lucky, Jennifer. I got rejected by every studio in Hollywood. They told me I looked funny, I talked funny, I wasn't leading man material, but I kept fighting because I knew that story mattered. I knew people needed to see that an underdog could win. Hudson tries to interrupt, but Stallone isn't finished. Not even close. And you know what happened after that one lucky movie? He continues, his voice getting stronger with every word. I made Rambo, another character I created. Another story I believed in when everyone said it wouldn't work. First Blood made over $125 million worldwide. The franchise made over $700 million. He starts counting on his fingers, listing off his achievements like he's building a case in court. Rocky 2 made $200 million. Rocky 3 made $300 million. Rocky 4 made $300 million. The Expendables made $800 million worldwide. But sure, Jennifer, it's all just luck. The audience starts applauding, not polite golf claps, but real applause. People are standing up. Someone in the back yells, "Tell her, Sly!" But Stallone isn't playing to the crowd. He's staring straight at Hudson with fire in his eyes. "You want to talk about one-hit wonders?" he says, taking another step closer to her. "Let's talk about your career after Dreamgirls. What was your next big movie? The Secret Life of Bees? Nobody saw it. Winnie Mandela? Nobody saw it. Black Nativity? Nobody saw it. Chirac? Nobody saw it." Hudson's face is getting redder by the second. She's realizing that she picked a fight with someone who actually knows how to fight back. "Cats," Stallone continues, and now there's almost a laugh in his voice. "You were in Cats, the movie that was so bad they had to digitally fix your faces after it came out. That movie lost $100 million. But please, tell me more about my failures." The audience is laughing now, not at Stallone, but at the situation, at Hudson's complete humiliation. Some people are actually pointing at her and giggling. Hudson tries to regain control of the situation. "At least I can sing," she shouts. "At least I have actual talent beyond just getting punched in the face on camera." Wrong thing to say. Completely wrong thing to say. Stallone's laugh gets louder and more bitter. "You can sing?" he asks. "You mean you can sing songs that other people wrote for you? Songs that other people produced for you? Songs that other people arranged for you? Congratulations, Jennifer. You're a very talented karaoke singer." The audience gasps again. It's like watching someone get destroyed piece by piece on live television. "But you know what you can't do?" Stallone continues, on a roll now. "You can't write. You can't create. You can't build something from nothing. You take what other people give you and you perform it. That's not an artist, Jennifer. That's a jukebox." Hudson looks like she's about to cry, or scream, or both. "I won an Oscar," she yells, like it's some kind of shield against everything he's saying. "For 8 minutes of screen time," Stallone shoots back without missing a beat. 8 minutes? In a movie where you played third fiddle to Beyoncé and Jamie Foxx? And what have you done since then that wasn't a complete disaster? He spreads his arms wide, addressing the whole studio now. This is what happens when someone gets a little bit of success and thinks it makes them better than everyone else. This is what happens when you confuse being handed opportunities with earning them. Hudson is shaking now, actually shaking with rage and embarrassment. "How dare you?" she screams. "How dare you come on my show and disrespect me like this?" Stallone stops and looks at her like she just said the most ridiculous thing he's ever heard. "Disrespect you?" he asks quietly. "Disrespect you? Jennifer, you spent the last 20 minutes calling me old, washed up, desperate, embarrassing, and a one-hit wonder. You compared me to a grandfather trying to run a marathon. You said watching me act was sad. You told me I should have stayed sleeping in bus stations." His voice gets louder again. "And now you want to talk about disrespect? The only reason I'm even responding to your attacks is because you did it on television in front of all these people. If you had said these things to me privately, I would have just walked away and never thought about you again." The audience erupts in applause again, bigger this time, longer. People are cheering and whistling. Someone shouts, "She deserved that," and other people agree out loud. Hudson looks around at her own audience turning against her. The realization of what she's done is finally starting to hit her. But instead of apologizing or backing down, she doubles down one more time. "Fine," she yells. Get out of my studio. Nobody wants to see you anyway. This show will be better without you." Stallone nods slowly, like he's been waiting for her to say exactly that. "You're absolutely right, Jennifer," he says calmly. "This show will be better without me. In fact, everything will be better without you." He straightens his jacket, looks directly into the main camera, and speaks to the audience at home. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize that you had to witness this. I came here to talk about my work and share some stories with you. Instead, you gotta see what happens when someone gets a platform they don't deserve and uses it to tear down people instead of building them up." Then he turns back to Hudson one last time. "Good luck with your show, Jennifer. Something tells me you're going to need it." And with that, Sylvester Stallone walks off the set. The camera follows him as he moves through the stunned audience. People reach out to shake his hand or pat him on the back as he passes. Someone yells, "We love you, Rocky," and he gives a small wave without turning around. Hudson stands alone on her stage, in front of her own audience, who are now booing her openly. Her face is red, her hair is messed up from all the shouting, and she looks like she wants to disappear into the floor. The cameras keep rolling as she tries to regain her composure, tries to salvage something from the wreckage of what just happened. But there's nothing to salvage. She destroyed herself completely, and everyone in that studio knows it. The audience continues booing as the show cuts to commercial, but the damage is already done. In less than 30 minutes, Jennifer Hudson went from talk show host to the most hated person on television. And Sylvester Stallone? He walked out of that studio with his dignity intact and his legend secured. Because sometimes the good guy really does win in the end.